because it's international American forum.
Well, then she should.
Yeah, well. Okay, so then, just, you got those, the quotes, that we just got that today.
Oh.
On, paid family leave,
Mhm.
that's why it's way down.
Okay.
And then there's a fire hire, that we just threw in consent, but it's just a fire hire we talked about before.
And that's consent?
Yep.
Okay.
And then, I mean, pretty much everything else I'm bringing up in
Do we,
During your
Workshop.
section? Oh, okay.
workshop, like the other stuff, the miscellaneous, there's not, I just need direction.
do
Sure.
we have to sign this individually for the,
No, I can sign it on behalf.
okay,
Yep, it's the same thing we always do, which is we don't wanna waive the statutory
Right.
limits. And then, I will bring up the, homes from the workshop, no offense, if the station wants.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll try that time. Let's call the City Council meeting of August 5th, 2025 to session. We will all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. We need a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved. Second.
Motion been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Moving on to the consent agenda. Looking for a motion to approve consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Moving on to mayor's comments and open forum. Please, when you approach the podium, do state your name and address into the mic, and take a few minutes and lend us your comments. Ooh, is it Laverne? Levon?
I'm not getting to it yet.
Did I say the name right though?
Yeah, Levon.
It is Levon. Okay, but not coming up to speak. Okay, Kim Lateral.
Kim Lateral, 511 Broadway. I just have a couple questions that maybe Jared can answer. Before this project started, I asked about dust control. I have not seen one effort whatsoever made out there with dust control. Not one.
Okay.
I want an answer.
Answer, if we've used any water for dust control,
Yes.
to my understanding, we have not, no. They've
Is there a reason why?
because we've got so much water the last month and a
That's
half.
a very poor excuse.
Yep, and
Very
usually,
poor.
dust control is, for the most part, a complaint-driven thing, so now that it's gonna be brought up now, we have meetings about every week, we bring up dust control. This is the first, to my knowledge, that's become an issue on site, so we will definitely be
Have
talking
you
about it
been
in the
on
future.
site? Have
Yeah.
you been out there on a windy day? they've been in one spot so long that the top inch of gravel is flour.
Okay.
And when that wind blows, it is beyond terrible.
Okay.
Okay, you understand that?
Yep.
Okay. The second thing is, are they performing the work in a timely manner?
Well, again, due to the weather they've had,
That's another piss poor excuse.
I'll have you refrain from the language.
Okay, that's a bad excuse.
okay. I think Keekly's doing a good job as far as moving forward. They're being very productive now that they have the weather and for the soils they're working in. So Mark, unless you have different opinion, I guess, but that's from what we talked about in our progress meetings.
Okay, now,
That's what we're
number Fourth Avenue is gonna be 100% completed before Broadway's ripped up.
No,
That's what you told me in the beginning of the project.
no.
Yeah, you did.
I didn't say that they'd be paving Fourth Avenue.
I didn't say paving.
We said 100%, so what do you mean by 100%? I apologize.
Are you gonna have curb and gutter in, sidewalk and everything, so Fourth can be used before Broadway's ripped up?
We will have sanitary sewer and water sanitary sewer, water main, and storm sewer installed, and they'll be working on the road itself when we start ripping up Broadway.
So there will be no curb or gutter put in or sidewalks before Broadway's
Before
done.
they're ripped up? No.
I don't understand this. We're told one thing in the beginning of the project, and then you get going in the project and we just jump around and we don't do what we said we were gonna do.
Well, I wouldn't say we're jumping around. We're sticking to the phasing we talked about. I mean, due to the schedule of the weather that we were impacting, there might be some shorter windows to work around, so there might be, like I said, if we said there'd be a gravel surface to work on, the Fourth will be a drivable surface when we move over to Broadway. It'd be a passable surface.
I don't know if I can believe you anymore.
Okay.
But you understand what's going on over there?
Yep.
Okay, well, as long as you do.
Thank you for the comments. I appreciate you bringing that to our attention, and Jared, we'll take it from there as far as your weekly meetings.
Mm-hmm.
Levon, last chance. You want to?
The only question I have is just the water color. We're getting an orange color to our water constantly.
Where do you live, ma'am?
131 First Avenue West.
Yeah. Is that the challenge? Sure. Yeah. If there's a comment for Jared, leave it, and we'll notate it.
Did you hear that?
An orange color to your water.
The water is orange,
Okay.
and it's about once a week.
And that address was at what time? Or sorry,
131 First Avenue West.
Thank you.
All right. Anyone else for Mayor's comments open forum? All right. Moving on to Foley Wastewater project update. Do we have a project update? Okay.
Jared Vogel obviously is not here tonight. Everything continues to work well since we talked last month. We've been running pretty much around the clock since June 11th start date. We did finally get a lot of work done last week on the SCADA system, all that stuff. So that's 90% result, 95%, whatever. It's not running automatic. We're gonna spend some time tomorrow with our engineers on going through punch lists and what needs to be done yet. There is still obviously some work on the air release valves, but other than that, everything's going really good. For the most part, test numbers are coming in good, but the system's running really good. So
Are we running 24/7?
right now we've been running 24/7. We did put it, we're gonna next week maybe slow it down a little bit just to see what happens when we start doing gaps. But
What is our flow?
about 285 plus or minus gallons a minute, which comes up to about 400, maybe 410,000 plus or minus gallons a day. But when you get a heavy rain event, you bring in 640,000 a day. You realize that's a day and a half we just lost. So I'm trying to. But it's been pretty much, like I say, 405 to 410 per day since June 11th.
Okay.
1,000 gallons.
Any complaints from the east side?
No, yeah, all that's been good. I said we've been watching still 4 times this week. We're doing sampling just because we had to go to town today, so we grabbed them. But 3 days a week we're still doing sampling all the way over. And
Great.
Thank you.
Anything else here on the side? No? Okay. Let's see, department reports, Chief Katie McMillan.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, first I will start off with our stat report for the month of July. We had 421 calls for service. Speed enforcement was up, and medicals and welfare checks increased. City ordinances went down. Things are leveling out there, so we appreciate the community taking part in taking care of their properties. And then disturbing the peace is up. We had 3 calls of disturbing the peace within a 6-hour period last week it was. So we are watching that. Then we had 4.25 hours of TZD hours. August 27th is the school open house, so there will be increased traffic on the school area on Penn Street, so just be mindful of that if you're in the area. And September 2nd is the first day of school. That is all I have for that part. Any questions before I move on to the vehicle?
Could I just, with that open house, is there anything we need to do as far as with the road project?
Yeah.
Like as Broadway being shut down, is there just a notice or anything that Jared, do you know if we
probably skip the school stuff.
skip?
Yeah, at this point, we haven't talked to, the buses and or the school, what impacts there's something on our list to start putting in on here.
Okay, so the
We're
27th
starting
is
in
a
about a month.
significant amount of traffic, so if there is anything, we'll wanna make sure to,
Yeah.
and give them some,
What day was that?
27th.
okay, that's all, just, one of us follows up with that too.
Yeah, because they already pushing out the communications on that too.
Okay,
Construction company knows about when
They-
school opens?
They're aware of the September 2nd date. This open house is, we're gonna talk about this week. We haven't talked about that date yet in particular. But the 2nd of September has been talked about, yes.
I have no problem you pushing them.
Anything else with that stuff before we go to the vehicles?
Just one thing, Chief,
Yes.
hours of service. What are we at right now?
For what?
Hours of service.
Hours of service? It varies, depending on the hours or who's working and who's
Yep.
taking vacations. I mean, there was a few weekends in there when we were 24/7, cause I was able to get that with the schedule. But usually we're about 22, depends on the day.
Okay, thank you.
Alright, the next thing is sent out to you, a memo in regards to the 2021 Chevy Tahoe and looking at replacing that. I did come to you last meeting in regards to the camshaft and the lifters went out on that again. Murphy's did provide me with 2 quotes. One quote to the $10,440 and some cents is to put a remake engine in it. They felt that would be better suited other than just fixing individual parts. And then the other quote is for just fixing the camshaft and lifters, which is $6,445 and some cents. I also did provide to you the quotes for 2026 Dodge Durango, the Ford Interceptor, and the Chevy Tahoe on the memo sheet. I would recommend that we purchase the 2026 Dodge Durango, since we were going to look at replacing it next year anyway versus fixing it, but that is up to the council and what you wish to do. And the numbers I did provide for that Dodge Durango is state bid.
Did Murphy say that the resale value on that would be better if we replaced the whole engine?
They did not mention any of about the resale, no.
And if we did sell that, how would we sell that?
How I sell all our squad cars is through the Mid-State Auto
Okay.
Vehicle Auction site.
Okay.
What was the estimate of repair last month's meeting, recall?
Last month's meeting, they quoted me about 2,700 just for the camshaft and lifters, but now we got the official quote of the 64. Yeah.
So then you're looking for a decision as to what repair we would make, or if no repair, then to order the new.
Mm-hmm. What's the lead time? If we would order per Dodge, we said if we put it in, we could have it by December. So then up and running in January.
Well, I say we purchased the Durango.
That was
Of
kind
course.
of my thought.
It's just a matter of how much money we wanna spend on the Tahoe, if we wanna spend any money on it at all.
Mhm.
Well, if
When
we fix it, we should drive it. Either that or get rid of it. I don't see putting any money in it just to sell it.
Right.
Exactly.
'Cause we're gonna capitalize on that.
When would we have originally planned to put the order in for the vehicle next year, if it weren't for this?
It would go in January.
We would have put the order in for January?
Mhm.
Oh, so we're only pulling it ahead a couple of months? Oh, just, I don't know, order the new one.
I think order the new one.
We need a motion on that?
Yes.
I'll make the motion that we, give Chief McMillan, permission to order a Dodge Durango for a total of $55,007.28.
I'll second the motion. Motion is made and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Anything else, Chief McMillan?
That is all I have for you, unless you have something for me.
Good, thanks a lot.
Well, what are we gonna do with the old one? Do we need a motion on that?
Do we need a motion on that until we,
You can wait if you would like, but it's in, I mean, you're not driving it right now.
Yeah, we're not. Yeah, we're not driving it right now. The spare, we did have the K&K do a full once over on it. They fixed a few things and it's running fine. So I'm not in a real, like, we need to get rid of it now unless Mark needs more space down there, but
I mean, we
you always
could,
need space.
I mean, we could have Katie reach out if you wanted to mid-state just to see what they think
What-
as is.
Yeah,
I would
'cause
like
what we
that.
would do is we need to get over to North Central and St. Cloud to get all the equipment taken out, and then we'll get the graphics off, and so it'll be a bit to get it all done too.
But we do need a motion to dispose of the asset. And we can do that in consent agenda at the next meeting too, if you'd like, it's up to you.
I guess I don't care.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Just waiting till next consent?
Yeah.
Okay, alright.
Either way, we're getting rid of it,
Right,
so
yeah.
So we'll just.
I really don't wanna spend any money on it.
Alright, moving on to City Engineer Jared Griffith.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council. Tonight, quick updates on the two active construction projects we have going on. First, the north side improvements. So far, contractor has completed the sanitary sewer and water crossings on the highway. The water on 3rd Avenue South, the sanitary and water on 4th Avenue South of the highway. Completed the sanitary from the highway to Murphy on 4th Avenue. They are just wrapped up, I believe, today, wrapped up sanitary sewer from 3rd Avenue and that loop around the mid-block on Murphy for sanitary sewer. And then they're jump back in to start the water main, and that same corridor. And then the rest of this week, once they finish water main, they'll jump back to 4th and work their way north as they work their way. So that's kind of their game plan moving forward. For phase 2 at least, to wrap up phase 1, They plan on having the week of the 11th, bring their subcontractor for the road, the road building activities, so subcutting, hauling and gravel, things like that, week of the 11th. And then they're planning on curb the week of the 18th, and then jump over to do, start the removal process on Broadway the week of the 25th is kind of the current game plan. That's kind of an update on the street project itself right now. I guess another minor update, the Keekly hired Lebanon Underground, which is our lead service contractor, to also address the private sanitary work, where the ones that they, at least on the properties that they share, the overlap in the projects. It seems to make sense for both contractors, and from a city standpoint, it makes sense as well. So that's how we decided to move forward with those being tackled. Any questions on the project before I get into the payout?
In your meetings, how far behind do they think they are?
Well, they are still thinking that they can get what they want to be substantially completed per plan by completion date, or substantial completion date of end of, I can't remember if it's end of October or early November, is the semester, and so they're still tracking for that. So as far as how many weeks they are behind, I would say probably by my estimate, they haven't really said anything, but by my take, probably about 3 weeks.
So in your opinion, don't you think they should be working some overtime, maybe on Saturdays?
They have worked one Saturday so far.
That's not enough.
Yep. But yeah, to your point, that's an option that we've talked about. Yep.
Okay. And what is their consensus on that?
They want to get it done before substantial completion, so they've been willing to work Saturdays. So.
Okay.
Yep.
They are working between 60 and 70 hours a week right now.
Okay.
So. I know it was up to last night, they had something about 8 o'clock.
Okay.
And they were just wrapping up then.
Well, you realize that, we take heat when they're not working. So,
yep.
Just relaying the messages.
Okay.
So.
Alright. Yeah, as soon as I hear any different about the schedule-wise, that we'll definitely be up in the city as we go. So.
Okay.
Any other questions on the street project, that is? No? Okay. Then I'll get into the payout. In your packet tonight is payout number 2 for the street project. The request amount for this payout is $941,473. Most of this is store materials and then also kind of leftover removals. There is a little bit of install stuff on here, but like I said, most of it is store materials for this payout. Cutoff was the 12th of July when we had this cutoff for this payout. So most of what I said kind of happened after that as far as the installation of things. So there isn't a whole lot other than the sanitary crossings and I think the segment underneath on the south side of the highway on 4th is in this payout. Otherwise, the rest of the installs are going to be the next one due to where the cutoff fell for this payout. That represents roughly 27% of the project where we're at wise. Any questions on the payout? No? Okay. Then we're looking for a motion to approve that payout tonight.
I make the motion we request or pay the amount of $941,473 to Kiko.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion?
Light
All-
a fire under them, Jared.
Okay.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you. Second project to give an update on is our lead service project. As of Friday, we had roughly, I think, 18 of the water services replaced, and 14 were completed as far as hookup inside the house. And the reason why there's a difference is because some are still on temp water with the street project, so they're allowed, essentially okay to have that gap. But we are moving forward through that. So their plan, I believe, is to be wrapped up with the Fourth Avenue services by the end of this week, and then potentially jumping over to Broadway the following week. It's kind of where they're currently laying things out right now. any questions on the lead service project as far as construction progress? No? Okay. And then in your packet tonight is pay app number 1 for the lead service project. This pay request is for $47,939.37. That roughly is about 17% of the project. Included in this pay app is work for roughly 5 of those services that have been installed. Again, that's due to the kind of where the cutoff fell where we do that, but it's 5 of the, what did I say, 18? 5 of the 18 that's been completed so far are included in this pay app. So.
Questions? Make a motion to approve pay app number 1 for lead service lines to Lebanon and Underground in the amount of $47,939.37.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you for that. And Sarah, we wanted to touch a base on the south side now, right? Okay. Since our last meeting, at our last meeting, we kind of talked about what we can do on the south side with what we maybe the money we have or money we could have moving forward. And some direction to kind of put some update the concept, and then kind of see how far our money can go with what we got. So last week we met as a staff and kind of put these two together. These two concepts are kind of maybe pass forward, essentially, how maybe want to phrase that, but essentially call it the west phasing one, which is not the one on the screen. Okay, yes, it is now. West phasing 1. This one is showing basically essentially the west 17 lots potentially being constructed within kind of phase 1, with the total construction cost of a little over $1 million for the development portion, highlighted in orange there, and then the kind of trunk segment along the county road there, that's extending the deep sanitary sewer, the 15-inch sanitary sewer, and then and then also the water main to that first access point there. That would be roughly $313,000 to that. So grand total ballpark $1.3 million for that portion of the project. Scenario number 2 that we talked about is the east phase, which is essentially extending that trunk main all the way to the second entrance, and then building those 17 lots over there with that first phase. So, and that would be a little cheaper as far as construction cost goes for the development side, $955,000, and then but the trunk main itself would be roughly double at $627,000 for that segment. At a staff level, we are leaning towards the west phase option as the one that we move forward with. But tonight we're just kind of looking for a little direction from council, maybe your thoughts on what you guys are thinking, and kind of moving forward from there.
I can add a little bit just to reiterate. So we have $675,000 allocated from the county for housing infrastructure. So we could utilize those funds. We still have a gap. Part of that gap could be filled with, we did receive some trunk fee payment from the county for their project. We also have some sewer expenses that we did not draw on the loan for, just based on we didn't know how much we wanted to take out. We could utilize some of those funds. I also want to add that I did have a really good discussion with a developer that has done work in our town, and they would be interested in a purchase agreement on lots. And they anticipated 6 to 10 built out every year. And they said that's very manageable for our town. It would be very similar to like the golf court homes. And they've worked in our community for, done many homes in our community, so they're very familiar with our soils and building officials, all that. So I think that's definitely a a route to go down that would also help with, cash flowing, this development. And what we'd likely do is, some type of purchase agreement where they buy like a couple lots right up front, then 3 to 6 months later, probably buy a couple more, it'd be phased in. But it's definitely worth looking into because it would just kind of ensure that the city has those, sources coming in and can sell them.
So would we be able to enter into a purchase agreement with them, like, prior to us moving forward with?
Yes, they're very interested.
Okay.
We also have that other piece to the west.
Mm-hmm.
We looked at some concepts on that piece. The concern, you can kind of see it on there, is if you don't build on both sides of the road, it's hard to pay for that infrastructure. So our thought was maybe looking at using maybe that private access with the golf course. Maybe you could have a private access in there and maybe a bank of townhomes, to better utilize the property. We have a similar townhome on County Road 51 now, where it's kind of a little drive-in and drive-out. Could explore that option. Still could run the services. The services are there. We can get services to them. But there's also some wetland further west. It gets a little bit wet there. I don't know if we want to deal with spending oodles of money on credits. I just didn't think that was worth our money at this point. And I guess what we're looking for is, thoughts, questions. Are you comfortable with this? If we come back next meeting in September with, we'd have to plat. That's still in addition to this. This is just construction. But we have done the boundary. We'd have to do the regular platting, and like the wetland credits. Are those in there?
Not in that cost.
There's a little bit of credit.
No, but if there are, when we get moved through like final design and get into construction, if there is wetland impacts, then there is some mitigation costs that could be added to the project as well.
It'd be minimal though. We're pretty confident it'll be minimal based on the delineation.
If we stick to what's on with the two kind of phasing we talked about, the two orange ones, the only impact would be that westerly connection to the county road. Sorry, easterly connection to the county road. There's a little bit of wetlands that kind of wrap around that south side there.
It would be on this one.
Correct. Yep. Kind of where that blue and orange kind of meet down there. There's the wetlands kind of trickle around that corner there a little bit. But the rest of the concept, the way around that, as it loops around to the north, that's not impacting any wetlands up that way. So, like Sarah said, pretty minimal cost for the mitigation side of things.
And these are estimates. Obviously, we'd put this out to a competitive bid if we were to move forward. I don't know. Market's been good so far. We don't know what it'll be like in this. We'd be looking at bidding this probably February is kind of the timeline we have left. But Jared, maybe you want to just outline what we anticipate costs would be for the services that we need to have done for this.
Cost for the services?
The design and so forth. That we bring forward.
Yeah. Okay. So
meeting.
our fees.
Yeah.
So how this would work with the platting process is essentially we would kind of bring. The first step would be kind of that preliminary design, preliminary plat process. We put a set of plans together for that, and then bring that to the commission for their review. And then after that's been approved, then we would move forward with design. And the final design, the difference is preliminary is probably 60% of the full design, and then that last little trick, the last little bit is the last 40%. Preliminary is the whole. It would be the full, whatever we're platting, so the full development, and layout of the full thing, and then the final will be just whatever we plan to construct. So if that's just going to be, the figures are gone now, but if it's just a chunk of that, if it's the full 17 homes, if it's the full 34 homes, whatever, or somewhere in between, or less than 17, we can make that decision later. But that's kind of what that process would be like. The preliminary plat process would be the whole site itself, the layouts, 60% for everything, and then that last final design would be that last 40% plus, and then whatever we plan to construct. That's how that would work. If you did the whole site, we'd be probably looking at a fee around about 90K plus or minus. But that's where we're at right there for that one.
And that would be designing and platting the entire, we'll say, the west phase and the east phase.
Correct. Yeah. And then schedule-wise, depending on when we bring that to you, as far as moving forward, probably start, bring it to next week, next council meeting, is probably when we bring that contract to. That kind of put us into kind of probably bring in roughly about 6 weeks for that preliminary process to happen, and all the review as far as commission meetings and council meetings, and then kind of start the final design, which would be another probably about 4 to 5 weeks for that. So we, like Sarah said, probably bringing that for bidding in that February timeframe, depending on when we get going here. But yeah.
And remember, this is utilizing the pipe we already have too.
Yep. So
A portion of it.
that cost that was in those estimates doesn't include the purchase of the materials you already purchased, right? That's well, maybe I should rephrase that. The cost per linear foot of pipe is reduced by the linear foot you already bought, so that makes more sense.
That's in here?
In those figures.
It's not,
Oh,
we took out
it's
the
not.
pipe
Figures.
costs.
Yeah.
Okay,
The material cost is removed from there, so
okay.
what you've already spent is not included in those $1 million or whatever it was for that couple concepts.
And then we have 675,000 left.
Yeah, it's roughly, we have about, half.
And that has to be dedicated and spent by end of next year.
Correct.
So what if we were to build out the west phase, would we put curb gutter, street across both west and east phase, but only plan on building on the west?
Nope, it would just run, the road would dead end essentially.
Would just
into
stop.
a Hammerhead or whatever you guys would decide on design.
Be some type of emergency turnaround that would be needed at the end. That's a temporary.
Just
And then-
until the next phase happens,
yep.
or when it happens, okay.
Well, and like what could potentially happen is if you fill up and sell and you have a developer, well then, maybe this lasts 2 years and then you could move to the next phase and put the rest of the infrastructure in. If we sell all those lots and are able to, essentially recycle it again. There's a risk, of course.
Yeah, well, this first, doing, one of the phases, we at least have some money to leverage. It's the phase 2 that we don't know what that would look like,
And I guess I'm reminded of when we did like Ronder Drive many years ago, we just kind of did it little legs at a time, as we were able to find funding. And that's what I kind of could see happening here. It might be like a 3-part process, who knows?
Sure.
If we can get a little further, maybe piggyback on another project or something that we're doing. But,
I
I
suppose
guess
if the developer sees success right away or what have you in this, maybe they're willing to entertain purchasing more at one time for the next phase, or for the
Yeah.
east phase.
well, and that's the big thing is we want to have some commitment to sell these before moving forward. So if we have a commitment to sell the majority of them, that makes it a little easier to make the investment. And the numbers, are turning around, excluding the land costs. Obviously, we're not getting anything,
Sure.
but we're putting this back on the tax rolls. The numbers do work with that subsidy from the county where we can market this at a reasonable price that builders will buy. They don't want to buy lots that are $70,000+ It's not feasible. We got to get them down to the 45-50 mark.
So on this west end, let's say, is all our pipe that we have allocated, is that all being used up?
No.
Okay, so we still have more pipe for the east end.
Correct. Yep.
Or we have pipe if something
Or
else.
for something else.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very standard, it's built around this, but there are pieces that are standard. What's your comfort level? That's maybe the question.
We have somebody that's interested and willing to enter into a purchase agreement and start building houses if we can get to a certain, point and stage. We have money that if we don't use it, we will quite literally use it. I don't see why we wouldn't move forward with, a phase.
So if I come up with some cash flows or, just how we would work this, then bring that back with a construction services agreement in September. That seems reasonable.
Yeah, and this
We
is
just
where,
wanna make sure we're not
yeah,
spending our time on something the council isn't,
On this project, on the west end,
Mhm.
we're talking.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep.
just the
Yep.
one phase.
I just wanna clarify too, we are going to rework a little bit here and there, we have a couple things that we're still kinda, so it may not look exactly like this, but it's gonna look pretty close, so just make sure you're aware that. We wanna make sure we don't interfere with the wastewater easement, we wanna make sure we set ourselves up in the best, you know.
And we thought this would be about 17 houses of,
16, 17, somewhere around there?
Yeah, it'd be about 17. If you go on the road to the west side, like I said, right where that, where the orange and yellow, orange and blue kind of meet, we would have an entrance off of the highway that way. Sorry, the county road that way. And so we would lose that lot number 1 to make that connection.
oh, because we would put an entrance there now instead of the
Instead of the
further
one,
west there.
correct. Yep.
Okay.
So really, we'd be staying only on the large property. The rest of the other 2 properties that are separate, will stay separate. We'll just kind of plat the large property here instead of combining all of them.
So it won't even mess with the golf course entrance that they have there. That would still remain there.
Correct. Yes.
We wouldn't mess with it. We do, if we were to, impact it, we have to provide them some type of access, so.
So I'm just gonna stay as is. Okay.
And then you have the option with that, like if you wanted to service that other piece off of, you know, that our new city street, you can still cross the wastewater pipe. But we're just thinking to avoid it at this point is not it's an easy thing for us to do right now, so let's make that accommodation now and keep our options, I guess, open.
Okay.
Is that a consensus? We're good with looking at that, or?
Stephanie?
I'm comfortable with it, looking at it.
Good with that?
Yep, I'm good.
Yes.
Okay.
That's all we need for now, unless you have further
No,
questions.
September, then we'll bring that agreement forward. My request is that September, October, so October meeting, if we can have kind of maybe a final decision on if we wanna do this full 17 in final design, or if we wanna cut it down to a certain number of lots that you've already maybe got some commits, then we can definitely do it. So I just don't wanna get past that checkpoint of getting into final design, and having to make some changes as far as if we're going from 17 to 10 or something like that. I want to have a little more vision of what the final is going to look
Sure.
like.
But if we say we're gonna plot this thing out and
Yep.
and finish up until, we'll call it 16
Correct.
possible homes, commitment from the developers that they would be interested in acquiring all 16.
Well, and I still think it's something too to, like, keep open, we might have private people that would
Oh,
want
sure.
to.
Right.
Yeah.
The only thing I will request the council to consider is some requirement that they build on it within a certain time period. If we're going to sell them
Oh,
a subsidized lot,
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
they need to build a house. We don't want people just purchasing and sitting on them,
Yep.
so.
agreed.
Agreed.
There's no activity going on at the town's property out there?
There's inquiries, just nothing is materializing, it's just too big of a bite for people. They wanna sell too big of a chunk at once, and that's just
And I
a struggle for people.
Okay, I understand the properties out on Fieldhouse Road just went up for sale.
There's one behind Campo Meadows,
I think it went on market,
yeah, we've been in touch with that
okay?
developer, yeah. There's lots of inquiries,
Mhm.
so hopefully something.
Okay. Do you need anything more from us, Jared,
That's-
or do you
that's
just
all
know
I
that
got
we're
tonight, unless you have
focusing
more
on the
questions
west
on me.
phase for now?
West phase, yep, that's
Okay.
the direction I need tonight.
Okay.
So,
Right.
that's all I got, thank you.
Great. Public Works and Fire, Mark Pappenfuss.
Hello again. Not a lot besides the project, the sewer, and trying to get some maintenance a little bit done this year between everything. I don't have anything particular. Yes. If you got questions for either department, I'll take them.
Anyone?
Thank you.
Great, thanks. Sorry, went over the 7 minutes.
Sorry, I do have one. Mark, current roster, how many more, firefighters would you like to have?
Let's go current roster's 23.
Okay,
Will be. Be nice to have 3 more on,
okay,
but, and we're working to get some other apps, so.
Okay.
But, yeah, we'll do a round now and hopefully this winter we'd do something else in.
Thank you.
All right, Sarah Brunn, Administration.
I do have one item we just got in. A couple options for the paid family leave private plan. And so I just wanted to share those with you, and, if you're comfortable, we'd like to, move forward with this implementation of the private plan. So the one that came back the best is through, ARC. And this is actually administered through Colonial Life. So it is a benefits coordinator that, is familiar to us. And it does come in a little bit lower than the state plan cost. So, 0.82%, the state plan is currently at 0.88. I provided the details. The one thing we do need to work through is how we implement it within our existing, sick and leave policy. But I just kinda need direction first here. If we're comfortable with this, then we'll have to navigate. We probably have to have a personnel committee meeting or two just to figure out what that's gonna look like.
Yep.
I did speak to the county administrator. They decided to go with the state plan. They also got a quote. They were both the same as us. I think it might have been, 0.79%. The reason they did that is they were worried about, having administration, like HR, having to deal with all the claims and so forth, per the email I shared with the county administrator. I do know they're much bigger organization, so it's probably more demanding. Myself and Monica, who handles the benefits, we think it's worth exploring the private option, it can save us a little cost. We don't seem to have as many, we're just a small group, we don't have as many of the leaves and affected parties, but, ultimately it's up to you. I mean, what are your thoughts? Some of our concerns are that the state could be slow to respond, it's a lot for them to take on. One of the things with interviewing with these benefits coordinators is we really wanted, something, a go-to person, somebody that we could tap into when needed and get responses from. So we're really looking for like an overall service with doing this. So, any questions?
Well, I guess I have a question. Going with a private party like this, I would be concerned on what their increases would be on a yearly basis.
It's a valid question. I mean, and they don't know how this is all gonna look either. Either does the state, I think.
Either does the state, yeah.
And we can always go back. We can't, from how we understand the laws, we could change from this to the state.
Okay.
But I think it's hard to go from the state to a private. I don't even think you can do that. You have to make the decision, one way or the other.
Well, with that option, I mean, I think we should pursue the private party.
Yeah, that's what our recommendation would be from the benefit side. And like I said, we're all gonna be learning and adjusting.
I think we're gonna see a lot of adapting over the next several years with the program and the costs that go down to the employers versus the employees. Is this reflective of anything going on to the employee or just all employer?
Well, our claims could affect it, yes. Is that what you mean? Or?
Is it not the?
This is the total cost.
Okay.
So this includes both, this is overall. The state plan does allow you to charge the employees up to 50% of the premium. So that is something that we will have to discuss as part of the budget process. But this is the total cost for everything.
Okay. Only the state plan though allows that?
I believe we can charge a portion too, but only can be 50%.
Right, 50% is the max, yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's something that the council, we have, to have that discussion on how we want to address that moving forward.
And I think, again, a lot of probably planning around that, to your point, around the current, what we have in place today and how that changes and looks and compared to what we'll be adding dictates a lot of whether or not some of that gets passed on to employee, but it's a lot.
Yeah, and I do think we're gonna see some changes, like after a few years, like,
Mhm.
for example, council members are included in this. It doesn't make sense for small city council members to be included, but that is how they wrote the law.
Hmm.
You know, and then we had the same problem with ESST, with
Yeah.
on-call firefighters, you know, there's going to be changes. And part of the reason we're looking at the plan for the private side, we don't qualify for the small employer discount. If we qualified for that and we would get a lower percentage, it'd be more beneficial for us to consider that, but we don't. Because of all the employees it does include. We have a lot to figure out.
There's a lot of, there's a lot of like webinars and things too coming up.
Yep, and
over the
like the
next
big
couple of
one is
months.
coming in a few weeks yet, so
Mhm.
I'm glad we got some information already, because this will help us navigate those other, you know, there's a lot of Q&As and things that are happening, cause people are not quite
Well, and
sure.
these private companies probably work with some of the other states that have
This
these
one, this
programs, so.
ARC is actually, I think, out of New York. It's another state that has it, like that, they're moving into our market because of this change. So if you're comfortable, I just wanna know if
Yeah.
if you guys are comfortable moving ahead in this direction.
Yeah.
We will come back with a final full-fledged, but.
Yep.
Okay. That's all I have for now, I guess. If you have other things in workshop later, I'll fill you in on.
All right, any, old business?
I think the two properties are cleaning up, but I'd like to see go a little bit faster.
Yeah, we moved with the lawyer, right?
Legal is on
Yeah.
that,
Okay.
yep. Yep, I think Chief had some conversations earlier, right, with the attorney?
Yes,
Yep.
updated photos for
Sure, good. Okay. Anything else? Old business? Nope. New business?
They broke ground for the courthouse,
Yeah. Government center.
or government center.
Yeah, yeah.
Courthouse,
Not financed by Foley.
not financed by Foley.
All right. Motion to adjourn, I suppose.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Meeting adjourned. Folks are welcome to stay for the workshop session. It's a it's just, no actions. It's just amongst us as council, just trying to understand what we want to look for and do over the next, forever. It is not recorded, and I think we take our mics off, right? We don't need our mics anymore. Yeah.